Hello yet again, everybody. This is Sydney, and welcome to my reading log for October of 2025. So let me go ahead and get started with my one sublime read for the month. A Man Who Defies the World of BL, Volume 1 by Konkichi. This does have the cover texture that I'm not a huge fan of, but it's not a big deal right now because I'm wearing my gloves, and this is probably not going to be a terribly long series. It's a series about a guy who gets reincarnated as the younger brother of a main character in a the younger brother of a main character in a BL work, and basically all of the guys in this world are gay, and he is basically just trying to avoid tripping anybody's flags, getting anybody interested in him. It's a fun read so far. I enjoy it. Next up, we've got Rainbows After Storms, Volume 5 by Luca Kobachi. See what happens in this volume. Yes, we do have the school festival this volume. I believe we actually do still have some stuff about the girl she had a crush on, the girl that she had a crush on in middle school, I think, which not a great situation for either of them to go through, but it was a really interesting way to show more of her character and more of the career struggle she has. So I did enjoy that a lot. For Shonen Sunday, first of all, let me go off with Mao Volume 21. This volume, we've got essentially the entire volume is about a puppeteer that makes living dolls, and these dolls end up killing people, and we find out why that happens, how it ties back to the overarching villains of the series. Pretty typical Mao fare. A lot of these are 1-2 volume arcs of villains, which I feel like might be similar to how Inuyasha is, but I haven't read really any of Takahashi's other works aside from this one in a one-shot, so I'm not too familiar with her writing style. Then we've got the debut volume of Yaiba Samurai Legend by Gosho Aoyama, and this is a series by the creator of Case Closed. This came out before Case Closed for sure. I don't remember when it came out, but it's essentially about a young boy who's trained to be a samurai, and he ends up going to a school with a bunch of normal people and tries to fit in. And at the very beginning, it feels very Dragon Ball with a lot of the same gags and him having a similar character as Goku. But then after, I think, like the beginning of the second or third volume, it starts taking off in a completely different direction, having to do with rivals, destiny, and this fighting style that he's having to learn and how he's going to deal with his rival going forward. So it's interesting. I was less interested when it was doing the Dragon Ball riff, but a little more interested when it started getting more of its own direction. Next for Shoujo Beat, let me go ahead and start with Colette Decides to Die Volume 4. And in this volume, I honestly don't remember much about this volume particularly. I do always enjoy reading Colette. Oh, yeah, that's right. This volume has the fucking otter. Like, look at that guy. I cannot forget the beautiful, amazing otter story arc in Colette Decides to Die. 10 out of 10. Great, just for that. I can't believe I almost forgot about him. Loved it. That's the main takeaway from that volume is there's an otter story arc, and he's very endearing and cute and very lovable. Now we have volume 14 of Spy Family. We've got a lot of focus on Anya this volume with her midterms, with another brief focus on some other characters and some character backstory for him, which is interesting. We get to see more of his relationship in the past, how it shaped who he is now. Good read. Pretty enjoyable for a Spy Family volume. Then we have the final volume of In the Name of the Mermaid Princess, Volume 7, and this volume we're finishing up the entire arc of them being kidnapped, or them being in the land with the dragons, and the two main characters finally realizing what they need to do to go forward and be happy. Being vague, but I do recommend this to anybody who's like a shoujo fan, a romance fan, or even like a romantasy fan. It's a very fun, cute read, and 7 volumes is not really that long of a commitment to have to go through. Let me flip these over so I can get these in a alphabetical order. So starting off with Akane Banashi, and I actually remember what happened in this volume because it was very pivotal. This character, I believe it was this character, I'm not entirely sure, going through an exam to become an advanced stage in the Rakugoku world. I don't know the terms off the top of my head. I think it's something Banashi, like Zenza Banashi, that sort of thing. That might be the name of the stories he's telling. Anyways, a lot of this volume focuses on that and on this fucking bastard, pardon my French, who is just rotten to the core, really, really, really trying to make it so he doesn't pass. But yeah, I didn't realize I messed up that cover. Whoopsies, that sucks. Oh well, I've accidentally messed up plenty of volumes. Unfortunately, I am not the most coordinated person in the world, but this was a really interesting read. I actually liked it a lot. Next, we've got Dandadan Volume 14. I don't want to get too much into spoilers because we are still in a massive battle in this volume. We actually think we're getting close to finishing up that volume. Or finishing up the battle. Yeah, we're getting very close to finishing up this gigantic alien battle that happens in this volume that's been going on for like 2-3 volumes, that they had like a training arc for, a lot of action. And I think they also touched some on Vamala's backstory. Oh yeah, that's right. They also bring back one character that was unexpected to be brought back that actually helps them a lot in the battle, and there's also somebody else that's introduced that is going to be on the next volume cover for Dandadan, so excited to see what they're about. Next, we've got Gokurakugai Volume 4. This volume he's kind of like the pivotal point of this volume. He is the long-lost brother of one of the characters, not one of the main characters, I don't think. No, I think it actually, no, it's not one of the main characters. They were essentially looking for him, found out that, spoiler for this volume, he is actually already one of the Manga, and there's not really much saving him. We get some backstory about him and his sister, why he turned out the way he did, and why him and his sister had a terrible childhood, how he feels she betrayed him. Good read. I enjoyed the story between them and how it's going to be affecting the story overall moving forward. Next, we've got Jujutsu Kaisen Volumes 27, a really fun fight this volume featuring Half Naked Man. I don't know his name, but that's what I've taken to calling him, so that's what I'm going to be calling him. We're in the middle of the calling game, so I'm trying not to be very specific with what happens, but he does have a major fight that takes up most of the volume, and it's a really fun diversion from the typical Jujutsu Kaisen fights, and I did very much enjoy it. Next, we've got Kagurabachi Volume 4. We are finally beginning the auction battle. I think this is actually, we're beginning the auction battle for the main character or Kagura, to try and get back both of the swords that are going to be in the auction. So there's a lot of things happening in this volume revolving around that auction. There's character development for one of the characters here, I believe this is him, who was actually a member of that family who was doing the auction, turned against that family, and we're getting to find out more about him in the process. Love Kagurabachi. Next, we've got Marriage Talks in Volume 8, almost there. And in this volume, a lot of the focus is on, I believe they're escorting these two women, or a woman and a girl, because they're being chased by the Pinwheel Masters, and they're trying to protect them, going through a lot of battles in the meantime. It's pretty much a one-volume sort of thing, but enjoyable. Still a good read so far. We definitely have, it seems like they're hinting at Gero finally maybe pushing forward with moving with one of the people he's potentially wanting to marry, but I don't know. Next, we've got Mission Yozakura Family, Volume 18. We are continuing the arc of retrieving the lost Yozakura members. Being a bit vague on that because there's a lot of spoilers involved in that specific part of this arc, but it had some fun fights, some interesting character explorations in it, and I did enjoy that. Next, we've got One Piece novel Heroines 2, and this one focuses on Uta, Robin Anami, Reiju, Tashigi, and Hancock. And I will say I did enjoy the writing for this one better than the last one because the last one had a lot of segments where it just decided to go on like a paragraph explanation of how beautiful each of the women were, which was just kind of out of place and odd, but I didn't really notice that too much in this. I believe there was something like that for Hancock, but given Hancock's character and how she's literally trained herself and is designed to be as alluring to as many people as possible, it doesn't feel as out of place with her. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was just a light read with not really too much stakes to it, just giving you more exploration on each of the characters involved. Okay. Then we have Ruri Dragon Volume 2. We are continuing to find out more about Ruri's abilities and how she's planning to control them. It's a lot of exploration of Ruri, learning who she is so far, which I think that might be a lot of the focus of this series, but I do still really enjoy it. It's comedic, it's cute, and it's a great read overall, even if it does take a long time between volumes. Now we've got volume 18 of Sakamoto Days. A lot of this volume is focusing on the museum arc and a lot of the fights happening there, some twists happening in those fights. We're still continuing the museum arc in this volume. I did enjoy it. Nothing too weird with the fights. Pretty good volume overall. Let's see. I think next I'm going to go with some publishers where I didn't have a lot from. First off, we got Adam the Beginning, Volume 11, and I'm pretty sure this came out like a couple months ago, but unfortunately, it just hadn't really come to me. Like, we'd ordered it, but it was just taking a long time to actually get delivered. But, what was in this volume? Right. More character exploration of their rival scientist who's in a wheelchair, and also some exploration of some other people who are feeling slighted because the girl of Robot, I don't remember her name, beat their robots in a previous competition. Now they're trying to get revenge on her, saying they built more superior robots. Good read. We're definitely hinting more at the Astro Boy connections in these last few volumes, so I'm super interested to see how that's going to pay off. Next, we've got another debut volume of Reincarnated in a Mafia Dating Sim, a Yakuza heiress becomes a top-ranked villain's romantic target by Sora Goto and Toka Amikawa. Volume 1, and this is Tokyo Pop's Love, Love, Lime. The great thing about these light novel adaptations is I don't really have to explain the concept that much. I mean, the title pretty much explains it point blank. She is essentially not really wanting to be romantically involved with this character here, but he does seem to like that she is so adamantly against being involved with him. And that's the main thing I remember this volume. A lot of setup with the world, how she lives in the world, what type of character she is, what type of character he is. There's not a lot of specifics to go on with. Aside from their relationship or their meeting each other, beginning with him trying to kidnap her, failing, and then ending up getting her anyways. So real doozy so far. Next, let's do some Square Enix. I've got a couple volumes. This is the small size volumes in this stack, and then this next stack is all the large volumes. First, we got Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You, Volume 5 by Genoshi. We've got some fractures in the relationship between the two characters due to miscommunications, which, unfortunate part that happens with some of these romances, but still fun read. I love the older man getting embarrassed because it's really cute when old men blush. That's a me thing. It's a little weird to admit, but I love it so much. We also have some exploration of the other co-workers, their relationships with the main girl, some exploration of the main girl's feelings. It sounds a bit derivative to say main girl, main male lead, whatever, that sort of stuff. I only do that because I am shit with names. Even series that I love, I never remember the names for. But Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You is a really good read, for romance fans especially. Next, we've got The Villainess's Guide to Not Falling in Love, Volume 4. This volume, we're continuing trying to diagnose why, it's going to sound weird out of context, why her eye is cursed with the specific curse sigil it's cursed with. There's a lot of discussion in this volume, a lot of like exploration of possibilities, trying to talk out who they think the culprit is, how they think they got to her, how everything's connected. A lot of heavy dialogue and a lot of world building in this volume, which is really good. It's a nice departure from the typical villainess fare. I do enjoy that. Next, we've got, honestly, probably one of my favorite Lovecraft stories, based on the adaptation, of course, which is H.P. Lovecraft's The Color Out of Space. Very creative take on an idea that I haven't really seen too much about, essentially something coming from a different realm and infecting and changing the world in very subtle and then less subtle ways as it grows more and more out of control, and how this is represented by these colors that are unnatural, that have never been seen before in nature, is really, really cool and striking. Of course, since this is black and white, they can't really do much about showing that color, even if that color is not something that could actually be depicted. Like I think they kind of try and show it vaguely here with this abstract illustration, but I mean, the idea of it being a color that has never been seen before, not exactly something you can replicate in art, because you can't just whip up a color nobody's seen before. But this is a really good read, and I very much enjoyed that. And it lacked a lot of the racist undertones that a lot of Tanabe's works have, if I remember correct, or not Tanabe, Lovecraft's works have, if I remember correctly. I'm probably forgetting something. All right, next up, we've got Cat Crazy, Volume 1 by Wataru Natatani. This is the same author of Cat Gamer, the beloved goofy cats living with a gamer girl fun slice of life series. This one's a lot weirder. It's about a guy who is in love with cats, like likes to watch them, wants to interact with them, wants to be friends with them, but his family doesn't let him or them keep cats because I think his mother hates them. I don't know if they're allergic or not, but it's essentially about him wanting to find out how to get closer to cats, how to bond with them. And he does this through a mentor he meets that's trying to teach him about cats and what they're like and how to please them and that sort of thing. It's real goofy. Very big departure from Cat Gamer. Next, we've got No Longer Allowed in Another World, Volume 9. Big cliffhanger finally resolved in this volume with that girl showing up and how it completely flips everything that's going on its head. And I'm not entirely sure where things are going to go from here. I mean, we do have what happened. I gotta be vague with this, unfortunately, because this is such a weird development in the plot that it's better to just read about it yourselves and get an understanding for it. But I did enjoy that a lot. It was a good shakeup to the formula, and I think it's going to serve the overall story pretty well. Let's see. And that was a Seven Seas. Continuing Seven Seas now, we've got His Majesty the Demon King's Housekeeper, Volume 10. And a lot of the people in the Saint Realm, Holy Realm, whatever it's called, are kind of turning on the maid who's trying to help them figure out this new issue that's happening with them, because they seem to think she is the cause of it, even though she's the one who's trying to help, because a lot of propaganda that's been spread about her and about the demon realm that she was from previously. So it's a lot of internal conflict between her and trying to get a place solidified in this holy realm while she's trying to help them. And also, Demon King can't go 5 feet without watching her, so he's watching over her in disguise, I believe, in this volume, or in this arc. Yeah, I still really do enjoy the series. It's a great shoujo read with good cleaning tips in it. Next, we've got, I believe, the semi-final volume of My Girlfriend's Child, Volume 8. Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to her finally having the baby, and we are having more and more family. It's not like new family drama. We're continuing the family drama with the parents that aren't supportive and the parents that are supportive. It's a very good exploration of these different personalities interacting with this specific situation, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody who's not afraid of like reading some drama that might be a little bit hard to get through because you really relate to a lot of the characters. Because the girl and the boy, they're children. They made a decision that unfortunately has had consequences that weren't great for them, and it definitely feels like they're being raked through the coals for it at some points, which is hard to get through, but I think it's a worthwhile exploration of all these characters, especially to learn why these other characters are so upset about this revelation. Great shoujo series, fantastic drama. We're going to get into Yin Press next with Touring After the Apocalypse, Volume 6. It's been a while since the last volume here. It's a slice of life, so there's not too many specifics. I remember there definitely was a section about the Loch Ness Monster, about them exploring the specific area of Japan. Not really too much that goes on aside from that. It's just a fun slice of life read in the vein of something like Mono or Yuru Camp. Next, we've got the debut volume of Superstring, Marco Polo's Travel to the Multiverse. It's volume 1. Story by Inwan Yoon and art by Boichi. I always say Boichi, it's Boichi, I think. Concept for this is fucking weird. Marco Polo. It's like he travels. I don't fucking remember, honestly. Right. Okay. So he's on a ship. Marco Polo's on a ship, gets shipwrecked, gets stranded on an island, meets all these people he's never met before, and it's like he's in a different time with this new power he has, and he has to like get through things. It's a lot of just weird shit. I can't explain it because partially I can't remember a lot of the details, and partially because it's very abstract and weird. It's interesting so far. I can definitely say that. Not sure if I really like it so far or not. Next, we've got Oshinoko Volume 11. We are continuing the character reversal of, well, not so much. We have a little bit of the character reversal continued of the main character being less adamant about chasing his mother's killer, and the main female lead getting more adamant about it. Then we have a bit of a reversal on that again because more facts come out. And then we also have a focus on, let's see. Yeah, we have a focus on some drama about one of the idols in the group getting caught in a compromising situation, not of her own fault, and how the entire group is going to have to deal with that going forward and the falling out of it. Interesting so far. I enjoy it still. We actually have 2 Lycoris Recoil anthologies I read this month with Lycoris Recoil React and Lycoris Recoil Reload Volume 1. I cannot name all the authors in these because it would take ages, and it's an anthology, so I don't really have much to say about a lot of these. They were all pretty decent. Nothing like stood out as an amazing story so far, but they're both fun reads for anybody who likes Lycoris Recoil. Next up, we've got Go 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 Ghost Volume 4. And this volume... Are we starting off with the guy who is harboring cats? Or is that the previous volume? Yeah, we straight up just have like 3 separate hauntings they're going through. People wronging her, how she's getting back at them. Not too much specific, I remember. I just remember the... Right. The girl who was from her office previously, who ended up having an affair with the same guy, who ended up having an affair with her, and the drama from that, and also the guy who was harboring, was protecting a box that she kept trying to move because it was in the way of her bike, because that's where you park the bikes, and that got resolved. It's very much just like a scenario here, resolve, scenario here, resolve sort of story. It's okay. I'm not the biggest fan personally. Next, we have Elden Ring Volume 6, and this is tackling... I almost said Ragnar. What is his name? Um, Radon. This is essentially a lot of the volume is dedicated to the fight against Radon with all of the warriors involved. All of them reacting in different ways to his attacks, following similarly to how he actually attacks in the game. Fun, enjoyable. I like all their characters bouncing off each other in this big battle. Great read so far. And then we're getting into some Kodansha, starting with Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun, Ira Mafia Edition, with art by Hiroja and I think the spinoff completely is by Hiroja, but with the original concept by Osamu Nishi. And this is a reimagining of Iruma in a mafia universe as opposed to a demon world. So a lot of the characters are different but similar, and a lot of the story beats are very similar but also differ in specific ways. I don't want to get into too much details, but if you liked Iruma, you'd like this. It's just really dumb, good fun. It's a bit darker than Demon School so far, but we'll have to see how that goes. Next, we've got the final volume of Kaina of the Great Snow Sea, Volume 4. Finishing up the battle in this volume, or should I say the escape from the battle. Then we have them potentially, or after the escape from the battle, they're figuring out how they're going to move forward with finding the solution for everybody to have sustenance to survive more generations. I don't want to be any spoilers about what happens. I just wasn't a huge fan of the ending or the series in general, unfortunately. Regardless, next is Go-Go Loser Ranger Volume 14. And we finally finished the massive battle between the three separate forces in this volume. And we're following up with the aftermath of how all of these forces were affected by the battle and how it affects everybody going forward. Being a bit vague on that, so it's not spoiling who has issues, who's outcast, who's this, who's that, who died, that sort of thing. I enjoyed it. It was interesting so far. Next, we've got A Condition Called Love, Volume 14. We have some new character introduced in this volume that I think a lot of the volume's dedicated to kind of meeting his character, seeing how he interacts with everybody. He's an older guy who joins the bookstore, who's very asocial, and Hotaru's trying to open up to him, trying to reach out, trying to be a good support for him. Cute, good volume so far, or good volume in general. Let's see, I will do Inklore next with the only volume, which is Father, I Don't Want This Marriage, Volume 4. This girl still does not realize he is the Crown Prince, but I believe, spoiler here, I think she actually does realize it in this volume. I might be remembering wrong. But he is continuing to protect her. She is continuing to basically just say fuck you to everybody who wronged her previously, and the guy she was chasing after who had a terrible family. She's basically saying fuck you to them. It's good. I like the art, I like the characters, and I like the story so far. If you like villainous stuff, you'd like Father, I Don't Want This Marriage. Next is Square Enix. We've got the two oversized with Ice Guy and the Cool Girl 10 and Cherry Magic 14. For Ice Guy and the Cool Girl 10, we have... Oh yeah, that's right. We do have a new transfer to the office who is shaking up the dynamic between these two characters now that they're fully in a relationship with each other. He is... I think he's canonically a bisexual chaos goblin who is just like... Because he's a succubus, and he's basically just... Oh, he's an incubus. Because of that, he really has the ability to charm whoever he really wants to if he tries hard enough. So it kind of follows naturally that if he has that ability, he's going to be generally attracted to either gender. So he just introduces like dropping a ice cube in a pot of boiling oil to just like spice up everything that's going on around them, shake up their relationship, put things on different parts. I did really like his character. He wasn't a the bad bisexual trope of like being sexually attracted to everybody and being, all the bad bisexual representation. It's just because he's an incubus and he also really only shows interest in specific people. And I did like that a lot. I love his character, and he's also pretty cute. Next up, we've got Cherry Magic Volume 14. So we've got some, as you can probably tell by this volume cover, we've got some jealousy, one person assuming things about another person, or about Adachi, and trying to get with him. But we seeing how that resolves with him and Kurosawa, and how everybody gets along and how things get settled out. Good, fun read so far. Let's get into the oversized Viz next with Sneeze by Naoki Urasawa. With this specific one, I actually don't remember. Oh, okay. This one's, as opposed to the other ones, this is like a collection of short stories. Yeah, it says story collection. And they had like one story that was really interesting that actually, so it's about a writer who is trying to find, God, I'm trying to remember what that first one was actually. It's not a writer. Somebody who has supernatural abilities, how he's getting used by everybody around him. Next one is about a writer trying to make it big, following up with one about mice trying to steal food, and then another one that I really liked that was like based on Urasawa's experience with a lot meeting American musicians and how everything went with them, kind of representing them in a specific way, and then also his experience being in a band and specific members of the band being very autobiographical. And I did really enjoy that. That was probably my favorite out of the stories. And then it finishes off with a odd twist on the kaiju format, where it's essentially kaijus being a giant form of commercialization in Japan, where people are coming to Japan to try and get kaiju souvenirs, like trying to take scales that fell from kaiju to sell, and how it's built like this commercial hub in Japan off of the idea of kaiju, which was a really interesting interpretation of kaiju stuff I personally haven't seen before, but I haven't read a lot of kaiju media. But I enjoyed the short story collection. Next, we've got Rooster Fighter Volume 8, and we had finishing off the fight between whatever the hell was possessing or is possessing Chicken Little, and him realizing what happened, or him, her, I don't remember, them realizing what happened and feeling like shit because of it, and the fallout of that, following up with more exploration of the demons and the leaders of the demons that we're starting to get more and more information about now that they defeated a lot of the demons in the previous big battle. Great read so far. I'm definitely looking forward to the anime. Next, we have Not So Shoujo Love Story Volume 2, continuing on the tropes and pace of the previous volume. Their relationship still really hasn't developed past a one-sided crush yet, but this has just had a lot of cute explorations of characters, funny moments, and a rival character introduced who is very, very buff and, yes, just very buff, very strong, very fast, that sort of thing. I always have loved this series since I started it one volume ago. Looking forward to reading more of it, though. I feel like it's going to be a decently long series. Next up, we've got Magilumiere Volume 9. I just learned recently this wrapped up with, I think, like 18 volumes in Japan. But in this volume, we're finishing up the fight in Tokyo Bay with these gigantic tentacle, I do not remember the name of the monsters in this series. I never do. They just call them monsters on the back here. Kai. Okay, they're called Kai. Continuing the fight, finishing up the fight with those Kai, how everybody's having to work together and how everything's wrapping things up there and what effect it's going to have on the magic industry as a whole. I enjoyed that. Good read. Next up is a series I'm really enjoying so far, which is Cosmos by Gruhei Tamura. This is volume 2. I read a decent amount of Hardboiled Cop and Dolphin and was interested in this based off the premise. And we're getting more exploration of other characters in the detective agency, some explanation of the main character, some of her abilities, why she's been able to not stand out so far, been able to kind of fade into the background, how he's starting to fit into that, some conflicts that occur, really sad backstory, a lot of good things in this volume, and I am definitely enjoying Cosmos. Next, we have Boys Abyss Volume 10. I believe there was some like really dark shit in this volume. Yeah, it was. I can't remember specifics, but they make it. The main characters end up going to Tokyo with the writer, and gosh, I genuinely don't remember a lot of the details here. I believe we got some backstory about how the writer ended up meeting the idol girl. I'm not entirely sure. I honestly don't remember a lot of the details. I do really love this series. It's just in one ear out of the other with this volume, I think. I did remember enjoying it, though. Next up, we've got Steel Ball Run 10. This volume, we got introduced to Mr. Exploding Things based on a timer. Very similar ability to one that was already introduced in the previous JoJo's universe. They got past the first race, and they are starting the second leg of the race after resting up. This is a very long leg of the race, so it's going to be less of a focusing on the running and running and running, and more so focusing on running, broken up by fighting. We meet the Boom Boom Gang. I don't remember what they're called as well. They also focus on explosions, or not explosions. They focus on magnetic poles and attractions and repulsions. Some fights in this volume, those two are like the main ones that happen, and we're learning more about the powers of everybody involved, including introducing Cowboy Tim. Cowboy Tim, is that his name? Mountain Tim. Introducing Mountain Tim, and yeah, good volume. I like the power system and the character so far, and how it's starting to build up Johnny's growth as a fighter now that he's finally started to unlock the idea of spin. Next up, we've got Yen Press, Ise Press, Eyes Press, with Villainess as a Marionette Volume 2. Oh yeah, we actually have like a decent representation of trauma in this volume, with how taken aback the main lead is by the man who was essentially, I think he was responsible for killing her, or if not, he played a very pivotal role in killing her, was a terrible person to her. And we have the actual romantic male lead standing up for her and trying to help her work through her trauma. That was one part I really remembered from this volume. Then we've got, let's see. Yes, we've got her working with her people in the palace to expose issues that are happening in the palace and embezzlements to try and get the people who are cruel, wrong people out of the palace. I enjoyed that. It's a good volume, good series. Next, we have Volume 1 of Suzuki-kun's Mindful Life by Yuki Fujimoto. Yes. This is about I believe he has trouble expressing himself. Yes. Very tall, very intimidating looking, but softy inside. And it's about him meeting a guy who is very much his opposite, their friendship, and how he's learning to become more expressive and learning to love how he is and who he is, along with developing a bit of a crush on his teacher. So I'm not entirely sure how that's going to go. I'm hoping it's not going to go the route of something like him ending up with a teacher. I'm hoping that's going to be some way for him to explore his romantic interests and things and to grow past that. But I did really like this. I was also immediately grabbed by the cover. That's what made me want to get it. And I also like the idea of very stern, very stoic person expressing themselves and not being what you'd expect them to be. Next, we've got Kill the Villainess Volume 3, and this is focusing a lot on the main character trying to work with the priest to figure out how she can die. And let's see. Oh, yes, and we actually do learn how she got into the world and the idea of fate and death and how it's going to apply to her as well as the other people in this universe, which is an interesting take on the villainess genre, how it has this idea of causality where something can't happen without something of equal importance happening. Like one person can't be born without another person giving up their life. Very interesting. And when I say that, I mean like somebody can't just kill themselves unless it's what fate says they're going to be doing. It's a kind of odd thing to explain, but yeah, I did very much enjoy that. We've got the final volume of A Business Proposal, which is volume 10. This one's focusing on post-marriage life, starting to have babies, how the babies are interacting between, how the babies are interacting between her and her friend, her and her husband, and her friend and her husband. Not a lot of specific stuff happening in this volume, but it's cute and enjoyable into the series. Getting married, having children. This is a typical sort of ending for a lot of these shoujo josei stories, but it was a great story, and I very much enjoyed that. Next, we've got another anthology. This is Bocchi the Rock, the anthology. Don't remember too many specific moments out of this one. I remember really liking it. It was cute, fun. Not a lot of artists I knew, but a lot of these anthologies tend to be like artists that don't have a lot of works published. A lot of like majorly successful, commercially successful works published, at least in English. So it's kind of like a way to explore different artists that you probably haven't gotten exposure to naturally. I did enjoy that, though. Next, we've got Beware the Villainess, Volume 4. In this volume, we've got Melissa basically confronting Jake, trying to get him to stop being such a stalker to the main female lead. And we've got the hunting tourney and how that ties into that. She's essentially, so far in this series, been basically just taking all the male leads who are treating the main female lead weirdly and being like, hey, stop. We're fixing this so you're not going to be stalking her or being extremely weird to her again. I enjoyed that. Beware the Villainess is a very fun series. This thing shakes way too much. I'm not sure how to fix that. Next, we've got One Dance Volume 13. Let's see. Believe we have the performance of Cabo in front of all of his peers at the school. We've got some interpersonal drama between Wanda and Cabo. Nothing like relationship breaking or anything, but deciding on what they both want to pursue when they're dancing and if they're going to have to do things separate from each other. I enjoy the series, and I'm very much looking forward to the anime. I'm going to save the legacy reads for last. So next up, we've got Rent a Girlfriend Volume 32, continuing the cohabitation arc, including the streamer girl really, really, really trying to get them to get together finally, like she has been doing. She's been trying to play like an active role into finally getting things moving along. We have some bonding moments between Chizuru and Kazuya in this volume, but nothing too substantial. It's kind of a filler sort of volume in my opinion, but that's fine. Next, we've got I See Your Face Turned Away Volume 4. This one's focusing on, Asagiri and Hikari's relationship. Also, Otani tangentially involved there. I'm just reading the names off the back here because God knows I'm not going to remember 4 different characters' names from a series of only 4 volumes and 2 so far. I love the interpersonal relationship struggles that all 4 of them have with figuring out who they're attracted to, this giant love web, and how they're reacting to each other. I do think it's a very interesting exploration of high school romances. Next, we've got Gazing at the Star Next Door, Volume 6. They are finally starting to they're finally kicked off their relationship. I think in the previous volume, they're keeping it a secret now, but things don't seem like they're going to be staying completely secret for too long. It seems like there are some people that are starting to catch on, and they're having to deal with that because she doesn't want him to go public with a girlfriend because she's worried that's going to ruin his career, as happens a lot in Japan with idols and very popular actors and actresses getting less popular when people find out they have partners, they have lovers, they have somebody in their life because they can't attach themselves to them anymore as well. It's a issue specifically to Japan in this instance, but I can see it applying to other places as well. Next up, we've got The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, Volume 8. We are continuing the arc of him really getting into baking cakes because of how much everybody liked his cake previously. We have some drama between the main girl and her peers at her school because a lot of her peers saw her with him, knew he was from the school that was not the most upright, classy, so they were making a lot of assumptions, and they had some figure out the drama between her and her peers, working on trying to get them into better places. She did have an ally in that fight, fortunately, so that was great. Yeah, love the series so far. Gonna move those two over because that's gonna be what I'm gonna handle last. And next up, I'm gonna do Got Papa Daddy at Work and at Home, Volume 5. Not a lot to say about this series. We have another couple that seems to be starting to form in the office sections. We are continuing with just cute stuff happening between the main male lead and his wife. It's cute, it's a fun read, it's nothing too substantial. Next up, we've got The Eccentric Doctor of the Moonflower Kingdom, Volume 10. We are finally getting, actually, I'm pretty sure her father's finally leaving in this volume. We are getting some exploration of, let's see. Let me just get some checks here. She's trying an experimental procedure in this volume because she's finding out that essentially somebody she's trying to take care of would have to be bedridden for basically the rest of his life, I believe, or she would have to take a drastic procedure that nobody's really done before. So we're having that as a lot of the source of drama in this volume, and I'm not sure if this is this series or a different one, but I think it's a series where she's essentially... No. Actually, it might be the next volume I'm thinking of, where she's having to take on a harder challenge for taking care of somebody, but I might be getting some series confused. But a lot of this volume is the drama between her and her father and the patient, and figuring out how to cure him with a method that hasn't really been tried and tested before. Next up, we've got Volume 6 of Inian. This is the final volume of the first arc. This is all we have published in English so far. Not sure when we're going to get Season 2. We are finally finished up the trial, and we are determining who is going to be the god of the... Gosh. I'm trying to remember what they're trying to be the god of. Like the god of gods here. And all of the drama is coming to a head. All of the characters are wrapping up their arcs in this volume. It was an interesting read. I liked seeing how everything kind of wrapped up with a neat bow, and I did very much enjoy this first season of Iniad. I'm not sure when the second one's coming out, but I'm looking forward to that. Next, I will do Tokyo Tadadeba Girls and then Buddha. I read the first volume of Tokyo Tadadeba Girls, and this is... I'm not as big of a fan as I thought I would be of it, because I know it's not intended to be that way, but it does feel a little bit like dissing on these girls who are in their 30s and don't really have their life together, always going to a bar, always gossiping, because they're not able to find success and happiness in their lives, so they're blaming it on everybody else. And I believe the main girl is trying to change, trying to figure out how she can get past this, and then there's a guy who comes into their lives in the bar who basically calls them out for everything they're doing and says they're being stupid and that they should be changing and actually trying things instead of just brushing everything aside. Not sure how I feel about it. I'm probably going to have a better opinion in the next couple volumes when I eventually read them,
But yeah, next up we've got Buddha volumes 6 and 7. We are continuing the journey of Buddha in these volumes, including showing some character inadequacies of Buddha and how he's having to deal with these people who are not receptive to his teachings, but we are also seeing him rise past that and gain more and more and more of a following with all of his wise uh, approaches to things and how he's handling all these human relationships. We've got some exploration, I believe, of multiple characters who were bad people previously who have turned to Buddha and are now trying to reform their lives, but they're facing immense difficulties with it. I don't remember a lot of the specifics, but I did very much enjoy the series so far, and I'm looking forward to finally finishing it with the 8th volume whenever I can. But with that in mind, that is everything I read this month, and I will talk to everybody next time for my haul for the next month. And I hope y'all have a great one.